You know, you all find this group a lot of different ways. And I like to make sure that I have a chance for each person to hear my story, because what I hope in that hearing my story and in the little bits that I'll be able to learn along the way, that one, you realize that you're not alone. Two, you realize that maybe you're not quite that bad. And three, you pick up a tool that allows you to be able to move further with your goals, right? This isn't going to be a one-hitter quitter. That's one thing I've learned about life. Like, it's not that one magical pill that'll make your body perfect. There's not the great one-liner that will completely reverse all of your behaviors, your actions, and help you deal with your consequences. This is all going to be about a lot of work. And for me, my story, I kind of have two starting points with it, right? It's a starting point when you know things are going bad, and then it's a starting point when you look back and you're like, that was the first time things went bad. And for me, and again, I'm sorry, for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is George Morning, better known as Coach G, Master Mindset Creator, and I lead a movement of men who are committed to taking the necessary actions required for a radical change in their lifestyles through change and growth. And we do that by breaking destructive, harmful, compulsive habits, and we create passionate, healthy habits, and all that while empowering these men, this body of men, with the mindset to sustain permanent change. Now, for those of you guys who don't know me, a little bit of brief history about me before I get into my story. I'm married, celebrating 10 years this summer. I have 3 wonderful kids. As a matter of fact, the reason I'm even doing this Facebook Live is because of what I experienced with my oldest son. He just graduated high school. And I can't even put into words what that really means. I know there's so much more left for him, but it was just a really big thing. My first child graduated and went to high school. But getting back to my story, this for me, I'll say there's a couple points in when this came about, and I like to start with what I call my holy shit moment, right? I mean, a couple of us have probably been there before, right? And what that was for me was June of 2013. I found myself homeless for the second time. My wife and my 2 youngest kids were gone, separated by about 3 or 4 different states. My oldest son was copying some of my worst habits, and I'm suffering some of the worst health of my life, and I'm living out of my mama's den. You know, not a pretty sight. And I was what, 33 years old at the time. Nothing that I envisioned I wanted for me to be at 33. I was nowhere near close. It wasn't like I needed a small tweak. I looked up and I said, holy crap, how the hell did I get here? How did this all happen? And it's at that point in time that I began working with Craig. And me and Craig went one-on-one. A lot of you guys are lucky. There was no private Facebook group. There was no online program. It was just Craig giving it to you hard nose. And every excuse that I had beforehand all of a sudden disappeared. You know, I was finally doing work for myself. So every financial excuse, every time excuse, anything that I had that came up, that became non-existent. And Craig kind of worked me over for a good 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months. I don't know. But when I came out of it, it was a lot of different pieces that I learned about myself and how it differed from what I was doing in the past. And one of those things that I want to discuss with you guys today is simply about values. You see, for me, you know, I'm going to talk as a man because we're all men here. But when I think about values, it's very clear to me that early on, before I really understood what mindfulness was, before I understood how to be present in the moment and look at what my surroundings were and how to best operate with that and what really was important to me, my values was very much confused with success. Very much confused with success. What I mean by that? Well, it was about the goals. Now, don't get me wrong. There were things that made me happy. But, you know, I tell you guys about the different starting points. You know, if you would have came to me about maybe a year or 6 months before my wife left, there's no way you would have been able to tell me that what I had going on wasn't great and that I wasn't, you know, showing value at that point in time. Right? So let's talk about that real quick. Let's just, I don't want to get too tongue-tied with it. Some of you guys know I would like rabble. But let's talk about that for a minute. How do we equate our values with success? First thing we'll talk about, because that's going to help us out a lot with how we're going to look at values with our money, our sex, our greatness. I'm going a little bit like old school, high tech. I went and got me a dry erase board. So real quick, Whether you're watching now, you're going to take a look at this later. How do you identify success? Like, what is success? Right? Is it finances? Right? Money. You can provide for yourself. You know, maybe success was the first time you paid your own rent kind of deal. You bought your own car. It might be the fact that you feel that it's successful. You're successful because you can provide for your family, right? Maybe that's what it's about. It is, or maybe success could be about position. Excuse me. Is it just working to get to a particular place in life? And keep in mind, we're not talking right or wrong right now. This isn't about right or wrong. This is simply about how do we currently view what we have. So we got position. That might be a particular job. What else defines success? Right? For me, aside from finances and position, it was image. If it looked good, then I was good. If I can keep everything on the outside looking nice, excuse me, that's what success was. Success for me, even with image, I kind of give it a sub note, but still, I'll go into like body, right? Like, and even when I say body, it was like being desired. It was fine that my wife wanted me, right? But if I'm really successful with how my body looks, then everybody that sees me walking, they're going to want a brother. They're going to want me. All of that was what about success was. Now, very often, or very rarely, I should say, are men ever asked to define their values. So real quick, let's just take a look at that. And I thought I brought my trusty eraser up. I did. I'm prepared, guys. I promise you. So let's take a look at values. And by all means, if you got something different, drop it in the comments. If there's something else that defines success for you, drop it in the comments. Now let's take a look at our values. You see, here's the deal for me, guys, and maybe for a lot of you all. I didn't understand what my values were or have a clear understanding of them until certain things began getting taken away from me. Like, I thought it was successful that I had a family, like a wife and kids, and even later on, a dog. Like, that's what the family's supposed to look like, right? I mean, they're in a house and you got cars out front. And then I realized that what I really valued when my wife and my kids left was being present. That's what I really wasn't so much about having a family. I can have a family and work 80 hours a week and go play around and do something stupid another 80 hours a week and sleep another 80 hours a week and, just keep going on and not have any time with my family. But the moment they were gone, that's when I realized that I had a real value that was now that wasn't present anymore. I just wanted to be next to my family. I want to be present with my family. I realized also that I valued my sobriety. I value the ability to be able to know that every trigger that came around me, I didn't immediately react and respond in the exact same way every single time. So now all the triggers aren't rushing me back to drugs or to alcohol or to porn or to prescription medication or anything along those lines. Now I get to, just valuing my sobriety. I know what the steps are involved because I value this above a lot of things in my life. But without it, I never knew. And again, with the help of the mindful habit system, I had a chance to be able to experience that and see what kind of life came with that. I realized that I valued not so much the image, but I now valued my identity. I value knowing who I was. It wasn't a value anymore that other people perceived me how I was in a certain way, or that I got this certain look from other people anymore. That's not what it was. That wasn't a value for me anymore. What was the real value was that I knew who the heck I was at all times. No matter what environment. When I got to go back home and visit family, I'm in a triggered environment with my family. I know who I am. When I got to make a trip 400 miles to go see my wife and kids now. And I do it wonderfully, freely, givingly, right? I know who I am. I don't got to be anybody different. I value that. Because with my identity, that means I get to be authentic and I get to be genuine. That means that you can't confuse me with the top 10 of the top 10 employees of the month at my company anymore. I'm the individual. I value being an individual and having my own identity. Here's another part. Even with my family, right? Even when we talked about the body, right? You know, you look at body. Here's what's interesting. My values in that, like what I thought was success, again, having that awesome body, everybody's going to look at and woo, look at George. It wasn't even about that anymore. I value being able to protect. What I love. I value setting standards. For my kids. If nobody else ever joined the party, if nobody else ever got on and said, hey, let me take a look at what Coach G got going on right now. If I get to be able to know that, okay, what I'm doing is going to allow me to be present for my family and have my sobriety and keep my identity, and I can protect what it is that I love, and I can start setting standards for my kids and the movement of men that follow me and that work with me day in and day out. Well, now things are looking great. But here's the problem though, right? All this sounds great. I'm pretty sure if you're looking at this right now, you're like, oh, wow, Coach G, that's freaking awesome. Who doesn't want that? But, you know, I got this 80-hour job, or, you know, I have to now do this. So, and what I want to talk to you guys about that is that sometimes we find ourselves, especially in a chaotic place, about how our values, they don't always line up with what we have found to be successful. I mean, again, I did door-to-door sales. I was gone for like literally 80 hours a week. I was working that much just in sales, right? So it wasn't no time for me to be around really and spend quality time as I deemed it with my family, with my kids, not to mention me running around, maybe a possible affair or just drugs or whatever the case might be, right? Just not being present with my family. And the thinking that I had was that, well, look, if I'm successful here, you should be okay here. And unfortunately, a lot of us, when we look at how, don't laugh at my triangles here, right? But this is like our values. I know, don't laugh. Values are going in one direction. We know what the values are. But then we got over here what we think is success. I won't mess that up too. Let me just write it differently. Yeah, that looks better. Told you I'm gonna get the hang of this. Now here's the problem. Even in this diagram, right now they seem to be kind of moving in the same way. And that's how I want you guys to take this next lesson, is that when you list out your values and you get a chance to list out what's successful, are they operating in the same direction? Right? Now maybe down these two, they're parallel to each other. But if you're like me, mines were parallel, but yet they were moving almost in like what? The opposite direction. So sometimes what I thought was success really wasn't success. Oh, that's bad. Sorry, guys. Going in the opposite direction. That's what I thought was happening, at least. Like, in order for me to spend more time with my family, I had to somehow be less successful and move away from success. In order for me to to be able to have the body of that would protect. It was going to take something away. In order for me to be sober, it would take something away. You see, these values I thought were just going in a completely different place. Now, there are some of y'all out there, and it's going to look a little crazy, and maybe they're not running really parallel, and you're not going with it, and you're not going against it, but some of you guys have this problem right here. You're finding that when you try to go for success, it's just smashing directly into your values. Every chance you try to move to be quote unquote successful, it's smashing into your values. It causes some chaos where you like, I don't know how to get ahead. I don't know how to get above. And everybody's situation is going to be completely different. Right? For me, I'll tell you the biggest thing that helped me, and I'm pretty sure that majority of the coaches here are going to tell you the exact same thing. We have let success be the controlling factor. Now, here's what's important. Success, 9 times out of 10, is a definition that's given to you. Like someone told you to be successful, you need to do this in middle school and do this in high school and do this in college and graduate in 4 years and get a good government job that got great benefits in the whole 9 or anything along those lines. And you get fed what in good intentions is supposed to be the roadmap to success. But very rarely, guys, have we had a chance to stop and say, okay, well, what the heck are my values? What do I value? And then we find that, okay, the roadmap, the blueprint to success that I was given, it doesn't work with what I found to be my values now. I can either make money or I can be happy, but I'm not seeing how I can do both. And guys, that's when a little bit of science comes into play. Right? A little bit of science. And again, I'm not the smartest guy out here, so, listen, it's an analogy. Don't go quote me verbatim on this kind of stuff, right? But here's what I want you guys to understand about this. You're going to have success. And you're going to have some values. And what's important is that in each moment, you find a way to connect them. How can you be successful while advocating for your values? Now, here's the deal with this, guys. We've all looked, and I said it involves a little bit of science, right? Well, what I'm actually starting right now here for you guys, you don't even realize it right now, but it's kind of like a DNA, right? We all know about DNA, right? Right, a little double helix thing going on here, right? And what's important about that is that they just stay connected, right? And here's the deal. You don't get one part of the DNA strand growing off and this one has to catch up. You're going to get something deformed. You're not going to get what was supposed to be created if that's what happens. And eventually, this will die. The moment you can move up and keep connecting each side, so that now they're not moving in chaos with one another. They're not even moving in competition with one another. They are growing right along with one another. And guys, that was a hard thing for me. I mean, my entire background, and this isn't me telling you guys that you got to go and find a whole new career path, but I will tell you that with my story, and then you probably heard the same thing with Craig as well, me working in sales, it didn't produce anything measurable that connected me to my values. I want you to hear this. I worked door-to-door sales, good about 5.5 years. I worked on weekends, the whole 9. I missed probably almost every single event that happened in that time frame, right? And over the last year and a half now, since 2015, I've been working independently with you guys as well here, coaching and working on a couple other projects as well that's allowed me to kind of better manage my time. So what's taking place in that time? Well, yes, I have seen my wife more. And yes, I have seen my 2 youngest kids more. And yes, I do spend more time with my oldest son. But here's what's important about this, though. It's not that I simply have a family. Now that my family saw me being present, I got so much more communication out of them than what I wouldn't have gotten beforehand. I can have conversations with my oldest son about things that I didn't have with my dad, about sex, about graduation, about, well, what is the plan for me after I graduated, and allowing him to be free enough to help discover a plan of his own. I have a wonderful wife that had I stayed in that same path, I doubt that, she would have had a chance to, grow in the areas that she had to grow. She's now venturing on trying to start her own clothing line right now. Right? And here's the deal. It has to begin somewhere. And is it easy? Not easy at all. And here's the deal. It's not supposed to be easy, guys. There is no pill for a great life. There is no one word for a great life. It's going to require some exceptionally great work to have to go in and play with this. But it is imperative for you that if you want real success, it has to be in line with your values. Anything else, it's only temporary. I promise you, it simply won't last. All right, let's move on. So we talk a little bit about money, right? We're going to get into some of the other areas. We're going to talk about money again because money is important for you guys. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys, you want to tune in and fast forward just to get to, how do I do that, Coach G? Well, listen, don't need to make this a vulgar topic, but we're going to talk about this. I want to talk about this from the aspect of you in a relationship with a partner and you also understanding how value is perceived. Way too often, men especially, right? We get labeled as people who don't value certain things, even in a relationship, right? I mean, maybe you're that guy, you want to have sex all the time, right? And it's a part of you that's maybe have had that understanding about, how to use your manhood, what sex is about, the whole nine, and we can have 1,001 perceptions that will come out of that piece. And a lot of times someone might say, well, you know what? That guy doesn't value, having a great sexual experience because he's just always running around. He doesn't know how to savor anything. He doesn't know how to appreciate anything. And I want to talk to you guys about that right there. And I kind of touched on it a little bit. And I'm going to break this down piece by piece. I'm just going to start with the guys right now, right? More often than not, when it comes to understanding value for men, it's going to really come down to this. Usage. Right? That's how we determine what value is. How we use it. How often we can use it. What's the most we can use it. Think about this. Think about sports. Think about your favorite sports player. Right? I don't care if you got basketball. We're in the basketball finals right now, right? You might look at basketball and maybe you say, hey, it's LeBron, it's Kevin Durant, it's none of the above. Maybe you're old school like me and it's Michael Jordan. Nonetheless, when we think about sports, there are certain moments that we always look at when it comes to the players that we follow, right? Like if you're a Jordan fan like I am, you remember that last game he played against the Utah Jazz and he played like almost every minute of that game with the flu, right? Capped it off with the game-winning shot, the whole nine. Now, will we still talk about Jordan if Jordan only played 5 games a season? No. But like if you're that great, you should play all the what? All the time. Will we talk about Jordan if he only played 20 games? No. Even though it might make the most sense, will we talk about Jordan if he did nothing but play in the playoffs? Probably, but it'd be a completely different conversation. We look at the guy and say, oh, he does nothing but sit around all year round for about 12 to 16 games and then shows up and becomes great. Again, we don't place high value on things traditionally that we don't get a high amount of usage out of. Sports. Here's another area for men particularly, right? Military. I mean, think about it. If you've ever gone into the process of military, right, and there's, something that comes up and you get, you go in to join the army and they discover you got, I don't know, a club foot, something that won't allow you to be what? Utilized in the field of battle. You're going to get a dishonorable, not dishonorable, you probably get an honorable discharge. You might even be asked to complete boot camp because of that. It's a usage factor. And both of these areas are like the two areas offhand that men are always going to be familiar with. What is our usage? And then, of course, sex. I mean, isn't it amazing how we had that conversation about sex just being kids? Right? Like, even as kids, it's about usage. Like, I don't remember having that conversation with a group of guys and they said, I'm going to wait. Even if they really wanted to. I don't remember that conversation ever happening. I almost don't even remember the conversations, even in school, that said, hey, well, I remember hearing about abstinence, but more often than not, it was about what? Prevention. Listen, the reality is you're going to have sex, so learn to use a condom. Learn about birth control. Learn about these contraceptive measures. Right? So a lot of our value has been placed in our usage. We apply this mentally to our jobs. Gotta show up every single day. Gotta deliver. Gotta perform. Now, again, we're not talking right or wrong right now. But it's important for you that you no longer operate with the mindset that says, I don't value because I overdo, or that we take in some of that internal shaming that we might get because of that. Again, we still got to make all this healthy. So again, is you having sex with 30,000 people, that's not healthy. Even though you're like, yeah, Coach D said usage and sex, and no, that's not what we're saying. We just have to be made aware. And you guys go through the program, you know how we operate. Awareness, accountability, then action. Awareness, accountability, and action. I need you guys to just simply be aware right now. For our values, 9 times out of 10, it's going to come down to usage. Period, point blank. Let's just understand, even in terms of like men and relationships. Right? I mean, think about it. You never want to really be that guy when your girl calls you and she says, hey, I got a flat tire. I need you to come change my tire. And you don't know how to change a tire. Or you don't got the means to figure out how to get that tire changed. Right? How often in your home would, until they maybe know your behaviors and full capabilities, are they going to come to you first? It's usage. Your children will seek you first. Your wife should seek you first. Strictly about usage. Not right, not wrong, though. Now, let's flip this a little bit here, guys, okay? And I'm going to hope y'all can stay with me here. But the other side of this, and again, this is about awareness. The ladies, don't get mad at me, any ladies that are watching this and think I gave you like the small side. That's not what happened here. Just this thing will fall on me. All right. Ladies is about appreciation. Sorry for my handwriting. But it's about appreciation. Now, let's understand the difference in this right now. Right? Usage and appreciation. Usage is about, again, how much use can I get out of that particular endeavor? Appreciation says, is there a particular higher work ethic, if you will, for what is desired here? Is there maybe even a greater value than what you might deem here for your usage areas? So what are we talking about? Appreciation, right? Well, here's a good one. Art. Done one time. Right? even feeling kind of included with the arts, if you will. You got music. I mean, think about it, guys. We all got that favorite artist that probably doesn't even tour anymore right now. But the moment you hear this guy showing back up after 25 years of retirement, he's going to go on concert right now. We're like, oh my gosh, yes, I got to make it to that guy, right? Like, I haven't heard him in so long. Now, you haven't heard him. No usage out of this guy in years and decades even, right? But because of what was already done, we're willing to go ahead and value it in terms of appreciation. And listen, man, this is important for you to be aware of. This doesn't mean that your woman, your spouse, your partner, doesn't mean they don't want to be as intimate with you as you want to be. In truth, it also does not mean that they may not want it in the same frequency as you, right? However, what they are asking is that you understand that it's not simply about usage, but that it's about appreciation and how that is demonstrated. How that is really demonstrated. You know, and again, we often bring our spouses, our significant others, we carry them over to usage because we see them every single day. They're around us all the time. I don't want to quite say that, yeah, we take them all for granted, but we see them every single day for the most part, if you're lucky. I don't see my wife and kids every single day. I see them maybe 2-3 times a month if I'm having a great month, right? But for a lot of us, we confuse appreciation with usage because you know good and well in the beginning, that's not what happened. For most of us in the beginning, we had to be able to show that level of appreciation. And then somewhere we got a little bit complacent because of the amount of times the usage was present. And I just want you guys to be aware of that. When you're working inside of your relationships, guys, understand that just because the presence of someone is there, it doesn't mean that the value principle has automatically shifted from appreciation to usage. Have that conversation. You got to really have that conversation sometimes, right? Now, here's the last part. I know we're still working, guys. I want you to get some more information just really about what's really big for me is, again, your values, but also how you're projecting that. And if any of you guys know me, I'm all about men advocating for who? Men. Advocate for yourself. So that leads us now to say that, you know what? All right, cool, Coach G. We've talked about values and success, and I got it, values and success, and I need to be able to work on that. And now, Coach G, you telling me that, you know what, well, I view my values based on usage, and my partner, my spouse, my significant other is sitting here with appreciation, and this still doesn't answer the question that a lot of you guys may have that says, you know what, I still feel undervalued because of everything happening in my life right now. I feel undervalued. I feel like I don't have a leg to stand on. I feel like I'm on eggshells my whole life. I feel like I'm being treated like the child whose mom is mad at him right now. Like, it's a lot right now. And you're trying to tell me, Coach G, that I need to switch up my value principles and stop going for success right now because that's filling a part of me. But I'm getting undervalued and I'm not being fully appreciated in these other areas of my life. So let's talk about that real quick, guys. Good part about Facebook Live, you guys can like rewind all of this stuff. And again, I'll be following the notes, guys. I want you all to give me any comments. Let me know if you want me to further explain anything. Maybe we'll get together, have a conversation, and clear up some things. All right. So, without belaboring this too much, right? I don't know, got a text message that came in there. Okay. So, without belaboring this too much, what I want you all to understand here is that we're going to operate from two places here, right? And I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to think about some things. And here's the first thing I want you all to start thinking about. That's RollsRoyce and that's Rolex. Then you got Walmart. So here's what I'm asking you guys right now. What comes to mind when you start talking about Rolls-Royces and Rolex? Some of y'all might use things like what? Flashy. Maybe you're going to say they are overpriced. Maybe you're going to say expensive. You're going to, probably some of y'all going to throw out things like not needed or wasteful. Right? All those things might come up there, right? If you keep going through this list and you write out everything that you're going to write out about Rolls-Royce, you may get to some other terms, like luxury. You might even say things like quality. You might say something like a respected name. Right? What about Walmart? Some of y'all are like, hey, that's my store. It is mine too, don't worry. Sales. They got sales like all the time. I don't think you guys can quite see that right there. So let me try to slide it over a little bit. Bam. So Walmart has sales. Walmart has discounts. Walmart has like stock. Like they always got a lot of it kind of deal. Even here, right? Like this isn't like as accessible as what you got with Walmart. So you might consider this, to be maybe a bit rare. That's the word we use. Here it is top full. It's hard to go to Walmart and find them to be sold out of anything, right? Never always sold out of anything. Now, one of the things I love about Walmart is that I can always what? And I mentioned it here, but expect a sale. Like, I know if I go to Walmart, I'm going to pay less at Walmart than probably any other store for this particular item. Outside of going to like a dollar store kind of deal, right? Like, we go to Walmart because it allows us to sometimes just say, hey, I can get this some respectable name, like Walmart. Even though we understand, like, look, I'm going to go there because that's what makes Walmart great, right? Big old store, tons of sales. They rolling back prices all the time. So we talk about Walmart, Rolls-Royce, Rolex. Well, Coach G, what are you getting at right now? Well, when we look at value, guys, you see, unfortunately, everybody out here to some degree, even if it's not present right now, at some point in your life, you guys wanted to be valued as a Rolls-Royce and Rolex. You may not have wanted to be flashy. You may not have wanted to be considered not needed or wasteful, but you definitely wanted to be viewed as quality. You guys definitely wanted to have a bit of a respected name. And when it comes to your values, no discounts. And unfortunately, most of us have lived in a value place that says, well, you know what? Not only do I think I'm going to have to take a discount, but I expect a discount. And trust me, brothers, it is a hard place, especially when you're in a place of recovery and maybe you're not finding that support at home that you feel would allow you to exert your full value that you present. Maybe you're in that place where it's like all I'm hearing is the amount of shame and regret and pain and consequences that I've caused and how my value is like, nothing right now, Coach G. But I'm telling you right now, that's not true. What is true is that we have become accustomed to taking discounts on our values. We take discounts on ourselves. We've gotten to a place where we say, you know what? It is okay if you don't do this as long as I get this. I'm going to be okay. And that's not the way we got to operate with this. That is not the way for us to be able to move through life on a willing, giving, compromise basis that says, I am willing to walk into any situation and expect less for my full value. And then expect to not be given the full value of another. So not only am I going to get less in exchange for the full value that I'm going to give you, because we're still being asked to still show up, but we've conditioned ourselves to say, you know what, I get it. I'm going to do everything. I'll carry the load, and you probably still won't do. Okay, got it. I'm okay with that. And we walk up to another relationship and we say, you know what, I can just tell already you're not going to, right? It's almost like, again, talk about sales, right? I mean, it's almost like you got to the place where you know that you are worth, let's just keep it simple. You're worth $50, but you're walking into every situation saying, I'm happy if I walk away with 35. Now you're happy with 35 because you think that's more than half. But if you keep those numbers going, sooner or later, you're going to end up on less than the half zone. You're never going to stay in the exact range. It's always going to be some way to out it for you to not keep up the pace with that. So how then do we as men go about discovering our value, asking for our value, and demanding full value in return, even when wrong? Even when wrong. Well, look, here's what I like about RollsRoyce and Rolex, right? Number one, they're exclusive. That's the word I was looking for. Not really rare, but they're exclusive. I don't know if you guys ever realized that. But you just can't go and go drive out to your nearest, I mean, maybe some of you guys in California, sure. But you just can't go and drive out to your nearest Rolex dealership. Like, you got to look them up online. You got to communicate with them online. They'll show you, send you a couple designs, the whole nine. But they are exclusive. They do not allow everybody to come in contact with their product. And guys, that's the first part just about you and your values. Stop giving to all. And I'm sorry if that's going to hurt somebody right now, but there comes a point in time when you have to understand what healthy selfish is. And if you are continually giving of yourself, especially out of your core relationships, and you're continually giving of yourself and receiving less in return, that's going to do nothing but place an imprint on you that you're going to continue to carry out through life. Stop giving everything of you to all people. Some people should not have that much access with you. You know it right now. You know good and well that somebody here who's watching this has a mom, a dad, brother or sister, good friend, cousin, uncle, high school buddy that should not have the kind of access to you that they have right now. You got to stop giving that to them. Number two. One of the things, again, Rolls-Royce, Rolex, do you realize that they only produce a certain amount of vehicles and watches every year? Like, I don't want to, I'm throwing a number out here. I'm not exactly sure. Feel free to Google or whatever. But I mean, I think they only do 100 to 1,000 vehicles a year. They'll roll out Hondas by the boatload, right? Thousands upon thousands. They'll put thousands just within a particular state of Hondas, right? Rolls-Royce, Rolex, they stick to a certain number every single year. Now, here's the thing about it. At the end of the year, what normally would happen with a Honda dealership that has too many cars left in stock? Slash, 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 slash. What happens with Rolls-Royce and Rolex? Not a thing. Price stays exactly the same. They'll move it into next year. They never go on sale. But what they have learned to do is to now, this is what I love about, you got to get into marketing sometimes, guys. They learn how to advocate for what they want. So what do I mean by that? Well, Rolls-Royce in particular, like the whole car industry, Rolls-Royce, Rolex. Rolex is one you've probably seen a lot, like just in terms of movies, right? Like they kind of had that little niche. And they realized that, you know what? If everybody's running out here to buy the newest cell phone because it was in the movies or they saw it on Facebook or whatever the case may be, and if everybody is running out here to get this old school car that they happen to see in the latest movie, Fast and the Furious or whatever the case may be, what are we going to do to better advocate that our position that you got to come and buy our vehicle? And what's happened over the last 5 or 10 years to both Rolls-Royce and Rolex is that they increased their asking. They did not go and increase their sales, but they started advocating now for the asking. So in terms of Rolls-Royce, that just meant they advertised differently. Was it still widespread? Absolutely not. They know automatically what demographics, what areas to post advertisings in for Rolls-Royce. When I went and visited Los Angeles, I saw advertisings in Hollywood that I would not see any other place on the, well, not say on the planet, but at least in the country. It was just that specific. Same thing here happened. So what's the first thing they learn how to do? In advocating, you have to say, important questions here, guys. What would make you? So for Rolls-Royce, it was, what would make you come and visit our lot? You got to fly out here to come out to the Rolls-Royce dealership. We did a lot of work for you online. What is it that's going to make you come out? And I want you guys to look at that part. What would make you? Think about the relationship that you're feeling you're being undervalued in. And how you're being undervalued. Think about what you want. You want to not be belittled and treated like a child. What would make you not belittle me and treat me like a child? You're going to get a lot of answers back, but you got to know it. Don't worry. People sitting in the Rolls-Royce all the time. What would make you come out if you lowered the prices? Cut the prices in half. I'll come out to Rolls-Royce dealership today. They get it. They understand that's what's going to happen. But you still got to ask the question because sooner or later you're going to get the right answer. Next. What would make you comfortable? Seems crazy, doesn't it? But no. You guys ever, like, really, I'm serious, Google this kind of stuff. Rolls-Royce's waiting rooms. You thought you had a good one at Orsman? You thought you had a good one at your dark cars or wherever you might have gotten your car kind of deal? They figured out what would make someone comfortable enough to have that kind of purchase. They need to know what's going to make you comfortable enough to do this. Right? Can't make them. What's going to make you comfortable? What would make you comfortable? Maybe you ask this question to your spouse and it says, well, what would make you stop belittling me? Well, I just don't know. I don't want to have a conversation about it. I'm going to move on. And maybe it's with your boss and your boss says, well, you know what? This isn't the time to have this kind of conversation right now. Great. What would make you comfortable enough to have this conversation? You got to advocate for you. Guys, I don't care what life you lead, porn-free, drug-free, doesn't matter, but no one will ever award you your full value unless you advocate for it. I guarantee it. It just simply will not happen. Won't happen at all. So again, We're looking at how you are able to get value and full value out of every relationship that you guys are going to encounter. And then can we agree to? Can we agree to? Here's a good scenario that I always like to give my guys, right? Imagine you're going out, you're out walking for a nice, beautiful time with your significant other, right? You're out for a walk with her, and you reach to hold her hand, and she pulls away. You reach back to grab her hand, she pulls away. What goes through your head at that time? Man, she doesn't want to connect with me. Why is she pulling her hand away? What's going on here? Well, what's wrong with you, honey? Nothing. Okay. Reach for her hand again. She pulls away again. Now, what are you thinking? There's something definitely going on. She's pulled away from me. I guess I just got to. And that's when it hits them. They hit that point and say, well, I guess I'll just have to deal with it. And they never advocate. You see, that hand pulling away can mean so many things and yet nothing at the exact same time. But if that was your way of showing intimacy and connection with your significant other, you got to advocate for that. That's like you having to make the fight. Well, what would make you want to hold my hand? Nothing. I'm just not good at public displays of affection. Well, what would make you comfortable with public displays of affection? Because I need public displays of affection. Like, that's part of the package you're going to get with me. I'm that dude that wants to hold hands, arm over the shoulder, rush up to you, grab you by the cheeks, plant a fat one on you. So, what would make you comfortable in that situation? Well, you know what? Then if that's how you approach it, then okay, here's what I would like. I don't like hand holding because I had a bad experience before. But I tell you what, you want to come and just plant a juicy one on me, go right ahead. Can we agree then? That I'm going to walk up and just plant you one? I might not be able to hold your hand, I understand it. But you got to do that. And you can't devalue yourself in the process of this. Right? We're talking about real values right now, what you're willing to give to another person. The last part that I want to talk to you guys about values is really what you're giving yourself. So I hope you guys got that. Hit me up, drop an email. Perfect time. All right, last one. And I'm going to bring it right on back here to sex, guys. You may have noticed this already, all right? I've seen this in a post or two. It's a hashtag I'm working on. I know it's kind of long. I got to find a way to copy and paste that bad boy. But it's platinum penises over copper cables. And I should have put in chicks there too. But here's what we're talking about right now, guys. And real quick, I don't know if you guys may have read the post I dropped a while ago, but I had a conversation with my son, right? Just about sex. He's 17 or 16 at the time. This is last year. And we're having a conversation about it. And, we're discussing how, he doesn't, not like he wants to have sex, but he's wondering how come he's not really getting that kind of attention, if you will. And we started talking. And I said, well, son, who would you give a platinum ring to? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not trying to marry him. I was like, forget about marrying somebody. Who would you give a platinum ring to in your school? What girl do you find worthy of getting a platinum ring to? He's like, nobody, Dad. Can't give them girls a platinum ring. You know what they're going to do with the platinum ring? They'll do this. They'll lose it by the end of the day, the whole night. So I said, great, son. Then why are you concerned about which one of them would get your platinum penis? Now, of course, probably like a couple of you guys right now, he chuckled. He laughed. No biggie, right? But here's what's important because it kind of set in on him. is that we're talking about his values. So why would I not give something this big made of platinum away, but I'm willing to give the most recognizable part of myself, which would take up more platinum than the ring, to any person that comes around? Sorry about that. Whether it be a female, whether it's the internet, whether it's, an app, whether it's oogling and objectifying guys, I want you to have a chance to look at and say, okay, where is it that I actually place value on my man pride, my penis? And am I relegating this to something that I would not even give a platinum ring to? Why am I willing to give this more to the copper cables or copper chicks, right? And again, I'm talking to you guys as a former addict. I know what it's like. I know that moment of just being there and you're like, oh, I need to just watch this and I get this from them. But I want you now, with the level of mindfulness, to take it a step further and realize the real value. It is not just you wasting time in front of the computer or with that worthless chick, that prostitute, or whatever the case it might be, or the relationship that you got no business still being in right now. This is about you looking at a part of you and valuing it more than anybody else is probably giving value to. When's the last time you was told that you got a platinum man pride? Platinum manhood? Or when was the last time it was just relegated to something else? You know what? Stop playing with yourself all the time. You know what? Stop messing with yourself all the time. Stop touching yourself all the time. This is mine. It's platinum. I need to appreciate it. I need to value it. And now I need to know how that value is going to go out into the world. Easy? Not easy at all. Important? Deathly important. I mean, I could say deathly in terms of your STDs and the whole nine that can come in and cripple your life and take your life. But when I say deathly important, is that you're not just killing the physical part of you. You're killing the inner part of you that associates a value to you. And the more we engage in these relationships, the more we engage in the mindset that success outweighs values, the more we allow ourselves to devalue who we are for the moment of internet and cable and for oogling and objectifying this person. Guys, these are the moments when we lose out on our money, on sex, and just being freaking great. So listen, guys, that's my time for you all today. I wasn't going to hold you up too long. Hopefully I didn't keep you any longer than about an hour. I can't see a clock right now while I'm doing this. But listen, guys, I love you. I need you to kick ass. And if you got a question about any aspect of the values that we talked about today, whether it's about your money, your sex, your greatness, drop me a line. I'll go ahead and I'll make sure I post up my email address. But as always, it's george@themindfulhabit.com. Or give me a phone call, 443-600-9169. Until then, brothers, raise the stock on your values. Stop with the discounts. And know that you are worth more than what you're giving and what you're taking. So start getting full value. I love you guys. Kick ass.